shoot.
Next on Great Performances.
Rodeo's is going to hell in a handbasket.
Oscar winner Kathy Bates directs and stars in Talking With, the mesmerizing stories of 6 women. Also starring Mary Kay Place.
The secret for a twirler is the light.
Celeste Holm.
Nice line. Oh, it's like costume jewelry on velvet.
Marcia Gay Harden.
She held one of these marbles in her hand. Why?
Beverly D'Angelo.
It might be best to wear our lives upon our skin. And so, I do.
And Frances McDormand.
Snake handling. Snake knows what you feel. You can fool a person, but you can't fool a snake.
From snake handler to rodeo rider, baton twirler to tattooed woman, mother to daughter. A gallery of unforgettable women in Talking With. Next.
I don't think it could be much clearer than that. My dad always going to do this tonight, but the Lord froze his face, so he sent me. I learned this from my dad, who learned it from great-grand, who took it up from the Reverend Solomon Bracewood, who had him a mule ministry around these parts way back when. My dad taught Miss Ellie, my ma, and my brother Jamie. He was in it, too, before he went for Detroit. See, what I got in here is snakes. A lot of people don't like snakes. Gives it its nature, I guess. This here's water moth. Jamie, he says they got the dirtiest, nastiest bite of all. Well, rattlers is your biggest. A lot of venom. You milk you a rattler, you could half fill up a juice glass. Dad all said Jamie should do rattlers, but he never did heads. Copperheads. Now they're slower and safer, but it ain't such a good show. You know those dang snakes smell like cucumbers? Well, they do. Miss Ella, she favored moccasins. Dad-Aw, too. Well, Dad-Aw did all kinds, always. Your moccasin now, he's your good old boy snake. Flat out mean and lots of get up and go. They'll chase you. They will. Old Dad-Aw didn't like Miss Ellie doing them. You lay off them mocks, so they lay you down. And Miss Ellie laughed. A lot of handlers think moccasins are slimy. Couldn't get me to touch one. They'll do rattlers. Got him a nice dry feel. Little bit sandpapery. Rattler will find you in the pitch dark, though. They get onto your body heat. Snake handling. All my blood does it. Only Dad on me now, though. Snake handling with the Holiness Church. Down where I come from, we take God pretty serious. If you got the spirit, the snake don't bite. If it bites you, then you know you ain't got the spirit. Makes a difference real clear, don't it? Right here in the scripture. Mark chapter 16, verses 17 and 18. And these signs shall follow them that believe. In my name they shall cast out devils. They shall speak in new tongues. They shall take up serpents. And if they shall drink any deadly thing, it shall not hurt them. They shall lay hands on the sick, and they shall recover. No figure could be much clearer than that. There's some churches don't use snakes. Use strychnine, powder poison. Same idea, though. They mix with cherry Kool-Aid, sing 'em a hymn, drink it all, and then just stand around waiting to see if they fall over. Ain't much of a show. Not like snakes. That all can do fire. But I can't do it. Pours some kerosene into a Coke bottle, sticks a rag in the top, lights it up, holds that fire under his chin, passes it down his arm, puts his hand in it, you know, that kind of stuff. He says there's people do blow torches down to Tennessee. I don't know. Jamie gave it a try before he went to Detroit. Just about burned his ass off. Sorry. When I handle, I keep them in this box. Dad'll give me this and some Heidi doll on my ninth birthday. Sometimes I open up the lid and put my foot right in. Or maybe stick it open side to my chest. There's some lay it to their face. I don't. Scares my eyes. During the service, we take 'em right out and pass 'em around. More dangerous than a single handler. Snake gets to comparing who's got the spirit a whole lot and who's just got it some. Somebody's just about bound to come in second. Don't get me wrong now. You don't die every time you bit. I've been bit 7 times, 4 times by the same serpent. Dad-All said he's got the sweet tooth for me. Dad-All's been bit 32 times, never even saw him a doctor. He just let me kiss him on the mark. Last one got him here. Froze him right up. Dad-All said he'll thaw, but I don't know. Day after Jamie took off, Miss Ella did moccasins, standing in the back of the pickup over to our Beverly. Should not to, 'cause her mind was there. Coal truck backfired and she got bit. Snake bit her 3 more times before she hit the ground. Dad-All laid hands on her, but she died anyway. There's 10 of us handled right there at the funeral. Snake handling. Snake knows what you feel. You can fool a person, but you can't fool a snake. You got the spirit. God locks the jaws, keeps you safe. Tell you what, though. I don't believe in a God. Left me. Gone with Miss Ellie. I was handling when I knew it sure. Snake was just coming on down the line. Marita, she yells out, the Lord's in me and with me. In me and with me. You know, there's Rodeo talking in tongues. A couple people rolling and shouting. Rodio's doing switch grips. He's got Miss Ellie's wedding ring on his little finger. He came to me. Heck, there ain't no God in here. It's just a bunch of shouters getting tranced. There ain't no God in here at all. About that time they laid the serpent to me. Felt fussy, nasty, just looking for an excuse, you know. And I was an empty vessel. Worse nor a Pharisee grist for the mill. My blood ran so cold I could have cracked ice cubes. Snake knew. Started to get leverage. So I said, Snake, you Satan's handmaiden. You're right. There ain't no God in me. I'm just a woman. But I'm the only woman in my dad's house, and he needs me. Out of his faith and his need, you lock your jaw. I looked at Snake, feel a child's pure love, and it sponged up off of my hands, and then old Wiggly went limp. I tranced it. It was a real good service. Didn't nobody handling get bit. Yes, you got to believe. Holiness Church is dead right about that. Makes me wonder, you know. I get to looking at people and I wonder if they got anything in them to lock the serpent's jaws. Any power or spirit or love or whatever. I look at him and I wonder, could they handle? Tell you what, though, you can see it in the face. You can read it. You look me full in the face, don't take me but 30 seconds. It's like I was the snake, some old pit viper, and I can read your heart. Maybe you can handle. Maybe you can't. But there's but one sure thing in this world. You're empty. You're gonna get bit.
The day my mother found out she was dying, she asked me to go out and buy her these clear glass marbles. Dad and I hadn't even known she was ill, which was nothing new. When you asked my mother if she was ill, she would throw things at you. Sesame buns, the editorial page, a handful of hair ribbons. Do not, she would say, suggest things to suggestible people. Anyway, I brought her the marbles, and she counted out 90 of them and set them in this old cut glass bowl, which was the sum total of Great Aunt Helena's estate. Apparently, the doctor had given her 3 months, and she set great store by doctors. She always believed them, she said, because they were the nearest thing to the Old Testament we had. I wouldn't give you 2 bits for those young, smiley guys, she'd say. I go for a good, stern, furrowed physician. She wouldn't even have her teeth cleaned by a dentist under 50. So she counted out 90 clear glass marbles and set them in the bowl on her bedside table. Then she went out and spent $1,200 on nightgowns. She said, in my family, you are only dying when you take to your bed. And that, my darlings, is where I'm going. And she did. We hashed it around. Dad said she couldn't possibly be dying, but the doctors convinced him. I told her it seemed a little medieval to lie up there and state, but she said she didn't want to be distracted from what she loved, us, or what she wanted to maul. And she said there was nothing outside except drugstores and supermarkets and dry cleaners, and that, given her situation, they were beneath her dignity. I asked her what she intended to do up there, and she said, study French. Visit with us, generally maul, and maybe call a few pals. Study French? She said she made a pledge to herself years ago that she would die bilingual. Dad and I cried a lot, but she didn't. He was fun to cry with. From then on, the doctors had to come see her because, as she put it, she came in with a house call and she was going out with a house call. And all day, every day, she held one of these marbles in her hand. Why? She said it made the day longer. Mother had her own bedroom. That was the way it always was, for as long as I can remember. She called my father the Thrasher. Dad could really get into a nightmare. Apparently, early on in the marriage, he'd flipped over and broken her nose. And that was it. Separate beds. Her room was very spare, really. Wooden floors, an old brass and steel bed, oak dresser, bedside table, and don't ask me why, a hat rack. No pictures on the walls. She never understood how people could look at the same darn thing day after day. She said it was bound to deflate the imagination. We'd sit with her after dinner and talk about issues. She told us she was too far gone for gossip or what we ate for lunch. And then we'd all turn in. And in a little while, just before I'd drift off, I'd hear happened every night. After the third or fourth day, I saw one on the floor and started to pick it up, but she said, leave it. She said it very sharply. I asked how come. She said she was learning to let go of them. Oh, she passed the time. There were things she wanted. She made out a list of children's books from her own childhood, and we got as many of them as we could find from the library. She said they were still the only good books she'd ever read. She wrote notes to, I don't know, maybe 60 or 70 people, and they told us later on that they were sort of little formal goodbyes. Each one recalling some incident or shared something not very significant. But the odd thing was that in each one she included a recipe. A recipe in every one of them. We got out the big cookie tin, full of snapshots that somehow never became a scrapbook. She liked that. She showed my father how she handled the medical insurance and how to do the accounts. We went through her jewelry. She wrote down the names of the roofers and the plumbers and the air conditioning people. She called it wrapping it up. This is good, she'd say. I'm wrapping it up. She had the television moved up into her bedroom, and she called me aside to say that it was entirely possible that she might reach a stage where she really wouldn't know what she was watching, but that I must promise her I'd keep it on PBS. Later on, when it started getting hard, she told Dad and me that she would like to spend more time alone. I'm afraid, she said, that I'm going to have to do this more or less by myself. She said she was glad, and she hoped that we would be, that this was arranged so that you got less attached to the people you loved at the end. The next period isn't worth going into. It was just hard. Do you know that from the very beginning to the very last, she never admitted to any pain? Never. She called it the chills. The last thing she asked for was a picture we had in the front entrance hallway of a Labrador retriever she and Dad had owned when they first got married. He was, she said, a perfectly dreadful dog. When you are young, she said, you believe in the perfectibility of dogs. I was in bed 2 weeks ago Wednesday toward dawn. Then this. Dad and I ran in there. The bedside table had turned over, and she was gone. Dead. When the emergency medical people got there, they found this. The rest had spilled when the table fell, but this one was still in her hand. I keep it. I keep it in my hand all day. It makes the day longer.
rodeo was just going to hell in a handbasket. Rodeo used to be something. I loved it. I did. Once Daddy and a bunch of them was fooling around with some old bronc over at our place. This old red-nosed named Cinch got bucked off. Daddy hooted and said he had him a 9-year-old girl, namely me. Wouldn't have no damn trouble cowboying that horse. Well, he put me on up there, took that riding rein in my hand, gave me a kiss, and said, "Now there's only one thing to remember, honey love. If you fall off, you just don't come home." Well, I stayed up. You gotta stay on a bronc 8 seconds, otherwise the ride don't count. So from that day on, my daddy called me Big 8. Heck, that's the only name I got anymore. Big 8. Used to be for cowboys, rodeo did. Do it in some open field. Folks would pull their cars and pickups around it, sit on the hoods. Some ranch hand would bulldog him some rank steer. Everybody wave their hats, call them by name. Ride us some bucking stock, rope a few calves, get throwed off a bull. Then we'd just get us to a bar, tell each other lies about how good we were. Used to be a family thing. Woolly Billy Tilson and Tammy Lee had them 5 kids on the circuit. 3 boys, 2 girls, and Woolly and Tammy. Wasn't no 2-beer rodeo in Oklahoma didn't have a Tilson in her. Used to call the oldest girl Tits. Woo, Tits Tilson. Never knew a girl that top heavy could ride so well. Said she only fell off when the gravity got her. Cowboys used to say if she landed face down, you could plant 2 trees in the hole she'd leave. Tits Tilson. Oh. Used to be people came to a rodeo. Had a horse of their own back home. Farm people. Ranch people. Lord, they knew what they were looking at. I knew a good ride from a bad ride. Knew hard from easy. You broke some bums or spent the day eating dirt. At least you got appreciated. Oh, God. Now they bought the rodeo. Them. Coca-Cola. Pepsi-Cola, Marlboro damn cigarettes. You know the ones I mean. Bam! Hire some New York faggot to sit on some old stuffed horse in front of a sagebrush photo. Smoke that junk. Hell, tobacco wasn't made to smoke, honey. It was made to chew. The Lord wanted you filled up with smoke, He would have set you on fire. Damn it, it's me. There's some guy in a banker's suit who runs the rodeo now. Yeah. Got him a pinky ring. Digital watch, honey. Told us we ought to have a, whatchamacallit? A choreographers or something. Some old ballbuster used to be at the Ice Dam Capade. Wants us to ride around dressed up like Mickey Mouse, Pluto, crap like that. Told me I had to haul my butt through the barrel race done up like Minnie damn Mouse in a tutu. Honey. Them people is so screwed up they probably eat what they run over in the road. Listen. They got the clowns wearing astronaut suits. I ain't lying. You know what a rodeo clown does? You go down, fall off, whatever. The clown runs in front of the bull so you don't get stomped. Well, Pinstripes, he's got him wearing spacesuits telling jokes on the microphone. I swear, won't be long before they're strapping ice skates on the ponies. Big crowd now. Ain't hardly no ranch people, no farm people, nobody I know. A bunch of disco babies, divorce lawyers, designer jeans, day-glow Stetsons. Hell, a bunch of them wears French perfume. Yeah, smells like money now. They got it on the cable TV. Hey, you know what? When you rodeo, you're just bound to kick yourself up some dust. Well, now it seems like that fogs up the old TV cameras. So they told us a while back that from now on we was going to ride on some new stuff called Astro Dirt. Dust-free. Artificial damn dirt, honey. Lord have mercy. Banker's suit calls me in the other day. Says, Lurleen? Hold it, I said. Who's this Lurleen? Around here, they just call me Big 8. Well, Big 8, he said, my name's Wallace. I said, well, that's a real surprise to me, 'cause around here, everybody just calls you dumbass. He laughed real big. And he slapped his big old fist. And then he said, I wasn't suitable for the rodeo no more. He said they was looking for another type, but something a little more in the showgirl line, maybe. Like the Dallas cowgirl. Yeah, the riding and the roping wasn't the thing no more. Talked on about floats, costumes, dancing, choreography. By the man, I would have pissed on his shoe. Said I could have a lifetime pass, though. Yeah. Said I could come to his rodeo anytime I wanted. Rodeo used to be people riding horses for the pleasure of people who rode horses. Made you feel good about what you could do. Rodeo wasn't worth no money to nobody. Money didn't have a thing to do with it. Used to be 7 Tilsons riding in the rodeo. Would none of them dress up like Donald damn Duck, so they quit. That there is the law of gravity. There's a bunch of assholes in this country just sneaking around till they see you having fun. And they buy the fun and they start in selling it. They figure if you love it, they'd sell it. Well, you look out, honey. They want to make them $1 out of what you love. Dress you up like Minnie Mouse. Sell your rodeo. Turn your pleasure into damn capades. You hear what I'm saying? You hear what I'm saying? It is merchandise, Tom, sweetie. You just merchandise, Tom.
I started when I was 6. Mama sawed off a broom handle and Uncle Carbo slapped some sort of silver paint up. Well, it was gray, really. And I went down to the basement and I twirled. And then later on, Mama hit the Daily Devils on these horses named Spin Dry and Silver Revolver, and she said that was a sign. So she gave me lessons at the Dainty Deb Dance Studio, where the lady there, Miss Aurelia, taught some twirling on the side. I won the Ohio Juniors title when I was 6. And in the Midwest Young Adult Division 3 years later. And then in high school, I placed 4th in the Nationals. Mom and I wore these look-alike Statue of Liberty costumes, which she had to send clear to Nebraska to get. And Daddy was there in a T-shirt with my name, April. My first name is April and my last name is March. There were 4,000 people there. And when they yelled at my name, golden balloons fell from the ceiling. Nobody, not even Charlene Ann Morrison, ever finished 4th at my age. I've flown high. An unknown tragedy, both. Daddy says it puts spirit in my soul and steel in my heart. My left hand was crushed in a riding accident by a horse named Big Blood Red. And though I came back to twirl, I couldn't do it at the highest level. That was denied me by Big Blood Red. It clipped my wings. Oh, you mustn't pity me, though. By no means. Being denied showed me the way. It showed me the glory that sits inside life where you can't see it. People think you're a twit if you twirl. It's a prejudice of the unknowing. One time I was doing fire batons at this night game, and I see this guy all of a sudden walk out of the stands. I was doing triples, and he walks right out past the halftime marshals, comes up to me, had on this blue bead headband. I can still see it. walks right up, and when I come front after a back reverse, he spits in my face. That is the only single time I ever dropped a baton, and I dropped both of them in front of 60,000 people. And then he smiles, see, and he calls me this thing I can't even repeat. He calls me a bodily part in front of half of Ohio. I felt like I was being raped. Just goes to show you that beauty inspires hate. And hating beauty is Satan. You haven't twirled, have you? I can see that by your hands. Would you like to hold my silver baton? Here. Go ahead. Hold it. Oh, you can't imagine what it feels like to have that baton up in the air. I used to twirl with this girl who called it blue collars then. The tons catch the sun when they're up, and when they go up, you go up too. You can't twirl if you're not inside the ton. And oh, when you got them up over like 20 feet, it's like flying or gliding. Your hands are still down, but your insides spin and rise and just leave the ground. Only a twirler knows that. The secret for a twirler is the light. You live or die by the light. It's your fate. The best is a February sky clouded right over in the late afternoon. It's all background then. And what happens is the tons leave tracks, traces. They etch the air. And if you're hot, if your hands have it, you can draw on the sky.
Charlene Ann Morrison. God, Charlene Ann. Oh, she was inspired by something beyond man. She won the Nationals 9 years in a row. Unrepeatable and unparalleled. Last 2 years she had leukemia, and at the end you could see through her hands when she twirled. Charlene Ann died with the baton 30 feet up in the air. Her mama swears on that.
I did speed with Charlene at a regional in Fargo. She may be fibbing, but she says there was a day when her tons erased while they turned. It was like the sky was a sheet of rain and the tons were car wipers. And when she had erased a certain part of the sky, you could see the face of the Lord God Jesus. And his hair was all rhinestones, and he was doing this incredible singing like the sound of a piccolo. The people that said Charlene was crazy, they probably never twirled a day in their lives. Twirling is the physical parallel of revelation. You can't know that. Twirling is the throwing of yourself up to God. It's pure gift, hidden from Satan because it's wrapped and disguised in the midst of football. It's God throwing, spirit fire, and very few come to it. You have to grow eyes in your heart to understand its message, and if it opens to you, it becomes your path to suffer ridicule, to be crucified by misunderstanding, and to be spit upon. I need my baton now. There is one twirling that no one sees. At the winter solstice, we go to a meadow God showed us just outside of Green Bay. The God throwers come there on December 21st. There's snow, sometimes deep snow, and our clothes fall away, and we stand unprotected while acolytes bring the tongs. They're ebony tongs with razors set all along the shaft. They're 3 feet long. One by one, the twirlers throw 2 tongs each, 30 feet up, and as they fall back, they cut your hands. The razors arch into the air and find God, and then they fly down to take your blood in a crucifixion. And the red drops draw God on the ground. And if you're up with the batons, you can look down and see him revealed. Red on white, red on white. Can't imagine. You just can't imagine how wonderful that is. I started twirling when I was 6, but I never really twirled till my hand was crushed by the horse pig blood red. I've seen God's face from 30 feet up in the air, and I know him. Listen, I'll leave my silver baton here for you. It can be yours. It can be your burden. It's the eye of the needle. I leave it for you.
Until I was 35, there was nothing out of the ordinary, nothing remarkable about my life. My days were very like one of those Baroque string quartets. Soothing, placid, repetitive school years, without protest or excess. Prom years, not so much as a single evening's anarchy. My uncle, a Connecticut lawyer, was heard on the eve of my 19th birthday to raise a toast which described me in a positive way he thought as unsurprised. In college, an unexceptional college, I appreciated music, appreciated art. I was, if memory serves, a major in a subject whose actual point or content now escapes me. Cultural geography. Had I died at that time, perhaps of acute boredom, let us say, in the school cafeteria eating peas, it would have been agreed by all who knew me that my epitaph should read, "She did as she was told." Or blander yet, she did as she supposed she might be told. I met my husband Arthur at a festive tea held to honor the retiring faculty advisor of the Christian Youth Center. He proposed a toast, grape aid, I think it was, and We were married 2 years later after weekly dates shared out among 3 restaurants of vastly ordinary cuisine. We were, I'm sure, the last of our generation to save ourselves for marriage. We had 2 children. First a girl and then a boy. 2 job transfers, 2 homes, 2 subdivisions. And then, on our 15th anniversary, Arthur left me, saying I had nothing further to give. I was, he said, unmarked by life. In the weeks that followed, I suffered most because I could not seem to suffer. I became an acolyte to sangria, made brief, nervous forays to singles bars, and one night was walked in my car by a musician who suggested that we make love right there in the parking lot between 2 yellow lines, as he so delicately put it, between sets. Well, I resisted. And, much annoyed, he cut me. Here. I stood, horrified, and somewhat embarrassed. At sea, in the midst of asphalt, staring at the drops of blood on my beige shoes, when the scar formed. This scar. I was astounded to find that for the first time people looked at me. Not unkindly. And with interest. And these were not the sort of people I had known before. Oh, no. These people were interesting. These people were marked by life. And my mark, my scar, made me somehow approachable. My blemish gave me confidence. And it occurred to me then, very shortly thereafter, that perhaps it might be best to wear our lives upon our skin. And so, I do. This serpent is Mohammed Mustafa, who coiled his life around mine and taught me that there are pressures and dangers and even a sort of degradation so delightful that it seems ungrateful to resist. This bird, in flight, horror-struck, would be my mother. This scythe, the ritual likeness of my musician of the parking lot. Daylily, that blooms and decays and is remembered, is Marion, who instructed me with her death, taught me with her going. On the palm of my left hand, a crucified Christ for Brother Shelton, who reached out a hand to save me, he thought, and was repaid with pain. A rising sun for Alex. Charybdis and Scylla for June and Carol. And August. Oh no, isn't that odd? I know her scent, but I can't recall her name. They've all mocked me. But of course you see that. May I advise you, please, let them mock you. Because you see, the best among us have had so many life imprints left upon us that it is like embroidery. And these people, life engraved, are drawn to each other and pass the time interpreting their signs. And those moments of sharing are the best of life. And this unraveling of hieroglyphs, personally I call it love, lasts only as long as there are marks to read. And then it's gone. Sometimes the unmarked are attracted to me. They stare, briefly, fascinated and a little frightened. And in the parking lot, I cut them. Just a little mark, like this. It is then their life begins, with a little pain. That is, if there's any understanding in them. You understand. Yes, I think you do. Salute.
The older I become, the more I'm drawn to light, to radiance of all kinds. Both the light and the shadows. They fascinate me. Perhaps it's just a primitive fire syndrome. Or maybe simply fear of the dark. I've rented this lot and filled it with lamps. I spend most of my evenings here. It is eccentric and childlike, isn't it? Of course, I prefer to think of it as playing. Yes? The hours fly. I draw great energy from it. And then, of course, there's the actual heat as well. I hope I'm not embarrassing you. May I show you? It's delightful to wander at random, extending a hand, weaving in and out and through these pools of warmth. Each lamp gives its heat differently, unique. And then in between, and there are many between, you can feel, receive warmth from several sources. Anytime you move, the balance is changed. And then when you've exhausted these relationships, you can change them. See? a little frightened that I may be boring you with this, sharing this. It's so difficult to share our enthusiasm, don't you think? I mean, does light interest you? Do you respond to it? Night flying? Oh, it's like costume jewelry on velvet, or wet neon, or trees covered with ice under street lamps. I suppose these are the sentimental images of my generation. Let me show you some. Won't take a moment. Now, there. Moving through. Now, see. I can feel the difference acutely, pleasurably. Is this senility on the hoof? Look, seeing lights above me makes me laugh. Why do you suppose? Probably you suspect because of the history as well. Of course. Some of these are from the Catsafall farm. Catsafall. That's Iowa. Several of these are from my family and friends. My son. My husband. Oh, no, fiddle. They're all too personal. I'm not going to bore you. Memories, I believe, are like patterns of a sort. And these make patterns. And our memories. I endlessly wondered what older age, later years would feel like. Have you? A diminishment, a narrowing. Of course, there are many things one obviously cannot do, and people once central to one's life are gone or dispersed. One is less often useful. My grandfather, when he was very rich in years, used to call himself de-needed and unpacked. There are necessarily fewer people. Thinking about it, it seemed to me then sensible to invest more feeling in things, to enrich one's relationship to them, so that I wasn't without intimacy. I have a sister, Amelia. She resides in a sort of leisure world in Albuquerque, New Mexico, in a sort of planned community. Her husband was a thoracic surgeon, so she's very well off. She moved there from Catsafall and says she's ever so busy with activities. She tells me how she has many, many friends there. Imagine. Amelia has not one single solitary friend who's known her before she was 60. There she is, a sort of amnesiac, with lots of friends and no memories, baking in the sun like a Pop-Tart. This is quite beyond me. Several years ago, she visited me here. She sat right there, where you are. And we shared this odd mixture of patterns and heat and memory. I showed her how remarkably hands take light. Lovely. Well, after a very long silence, a rather nice silence, really, she rose and said, "Lila, you're as mad as a March hare," and flew off to a card tournament. It has been my experience that light becomes the more pleasurable when you diminish it. And then, when there is one single glow remaining, there's an agony of anticipation and pleasure, waiting for that moment when it will be extinguished. It's ever so lovely. Ever so. It bewilders me and thrills me that this light, this radiance, this has become my friend to succor and sustain me. The warmth, the fascination of the waiting. And then finally, of course,